Today we're going to be talking about how we can live a more intentional life. So I've put together 12 things that would help you live a more intentional life. If you follow every single thing here, at the end of the day, you're going to look back and you're going to be so happy that you did these things. The first thing I would tell you that is number one in everything is you need to put God first. I can't start this series without talking about how important it is to put God first in everything you're doing. Like, it's so important. I personally decided that this year I'm going to be intentional about reading the Word, and I'm going to read the Word of God every day. I started this already on, I tried it last year, but to an extent, I wasn't very consistent. I had like few days that I skipped and I didn't feel good about that. So this year I decided to be more intentional about how I'm going to read the Word of God, and I already have a plan. And currently I'm using this Bible right here, and this Bible, I like it simply because it's so detailed. It has like a section where it explains the readings, right? It explains everything you've read and breaks it down for you in a way that you can understand. I also like to jot down the key points or the things that stood out for me, or the message that I got from every chapter of the Bible that I read. This helps me to be more intentional about my time with God. And also, I think this is something that will really help you make out time for God. Do not leave it as the last thing when you're already falling asleep. You need to be very intentional about this, because every single thing comes together, right? If you put God last, you don't expect him to come first when you're facing challenges, right? Even though we have a God that is very merciful, but it doesn't mean that we should take his mercies and his grace for granted. So this is number one thing I would recommend. Have a plan on your prayer life for this year. Have a plan on how you intend to read the Word of God. Have a plan on how you intend to have a better relationship with God. This will really go a long way in helping you have a better life this year. Number two thing that is very important is that you should set a time every day when you get to reflect and you meditate. This is not something that is far-fetched, because all you need is, you could start with 10 minutes, you could start with 15 minutes, you could start with 20 minutes. It all depends on what you're able to do based off of what is convenient for you. People have different lifestyles. Some people are busy with work, some people are busy with kids, some people are busy with different things, right? But in as much as you're busy, there are certain things that you shouldn't go a day without, and one of it is reflecting and meditating. You could decide to meditate on the Word of God. You could decide to meditate on your life, reflect to see how the day was, what could I have done better. Sometimes we just keep living and you find out that a whole year has passed and you haven't even found time to just sit down by yourself. This doesn't have to be a time where you start setting candles and putting all the ambience. If that works for you, that's totally fine, but it's just like a quiet time. It could just be before bed, it could just be in the middle of the day during your lunch break, where you just sit back and you're like, okay, this is the plan I have for my life. This is how I want to do it. This is what I could have done differently today. This is what I think I would do, to make myself better in this particular aspect. This really helps you to be more intentional about how you react or how you act throughout the day. Number three thing I have here for you, be more intentional. Oh my goodness, this is like one of the most important things. Be more intentional. Be more intentional about every single thing. Be more intentional about the people you allow in your corner. Be more intentional about the things you say, how you react to situations. Be more intentional about the way you act. Be more intentional about the goals you've set. Be more intentional about your visions. Every single thing works together to give you that bigger picture that you've already dreamt of. But you have to put in the work. If you leave the work and you just act like nothing really matters, act like there is no plan, act like that nothing bothers you, you'll find out that at the end of the day, you're going to be all over the place, right? So I give you an instance. If you're somebody that used to be quick to, react when someone upsets you, this time around, try to take a step back. Do not answer or reply immediately when you're upset. Try as much as possible to give it some time. Be more intentional about the way you're going going to react to things that on a normal day come your way to make you upset. So as much as you want to voice it, go all out, attack the person, like you need to try and give it some seconds. You find out that after some time, if you give it like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, walk away from that situation, you find out that when you return, you feel a lot better. You're more relaxed, you're more intentional about what you're saying. You find out that it becomes something that you're able to control. But in the heat of the moment, when you want to act the way you feel in the moment, you find out that sometimes you do things that you end up regretting. Also, very importantly, you need to be more intentional about the energy you allow into your space, right? If you know those people or those things that make you deviate from what you said you would never do, there are friends who always make you do things that there are friends that whenever you're around them, you probably say or do things that when you look back, you're like, no, this is not the light, this is not the way I want to go. There are friends that they put you in the wrong direction, they may not even know they're doing it. So now it's up to you to know what you allow. There are pages that when you visit or when you scroll past, it puts you in the wrong frame of mind. It puts you in this, it's either it leads you to sin or leads you to a direction where you feel like, okay, this is not where I want to be. So you have to be more intentional about every single thing. Be more intentional about the conversations you allow. Be more intentional about the calls you take. Sometimes it's okay to say, I'm so sorry, can we just talk about this later? If you know that mood or that time is not the right time, please learn to say no. Learn to say, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't do this. I'm sorry, I can't attend this event. I'm sorry, this doesn't align with my goals. I'm sorry, this person, just learn to say no. Oh, unfortunately I can't. Unfortunately I can't show up. You have to be able to stand your ground when you know that something does not align with where you see yourself or the plans you have for your life. Number 4 point is be always conscious of the wrongs you did, right? If there is anything that you find out that you did previously in the previous year that didn't really align with the life that you wanted, we know these things. That's why it's important to sometimes reflect, sit back, meditate, talk about these things with yourself, within yourself, look back at the things that you could have done differently. It helps you to avoid falling in that line where you go back to the things that you're trying to walk away from. Number 5 point for me is we can't act like money is not important. We need money. We need money to look good. We need money to even be charitable, in some aspects. We need money to help other people. We need money to achieve our goals. We need money to feed. We need money to take care of our children. So money is so important, right? And we cannot walk around or pretend like it's not. I think one of the most important things would be to add 2 more streams of income to the incomes you already have. Like it could be a business. Think about something that you can do without having to stress about it, right? Find passive incomes. I'm not going to stop talking about this because this is so important. Passive income will help you. You cannot live this life depending on your salary, girl. Like you can't live this life depending on just one stream of income. There are so many streams of income out there. Anywho, so look out for the streams of income that work for you. Look out for the streams of income that you would do so that you're not always in this position where you're living from hand to mouth. It's so important that you find other streams of income. Sometimes when you just start it may not be giving you all that money, but think about the bigger picture, right? It's more like you're sowing a seed and eventually you're going to reap what you sow, right? So if you keep trusting and depending on a particular source of income, what happens if that doesn't work? One of the major questions I always tell people to ask themselves is, if you're doing any job, if you're doing anything that solely depends on you being physically present, if you're doing anything that solely depends on you being physically present to make it happen, you're making a mistake. I'm sorry to say, I have to be honest. It may be working for you now, but I always tell people, think about what about situations where, God forbid, we don't pray for these things, but these things are part of life. It can happen to anybody, right? Some days you wake up and all of a sudden your child is sick. All of a sudden there's a family member that needs help and you cannot be physically present for your job. All of a sudden you yourself, you could fall sick. What happens if you're in a situation where you cannot be physically present to attend to that job? Does that mean that all your income stops? So find things that you can do that helps you to earn money even while in your sleep. This is so important. Make sure that you have a business. If you don't already have, that's okay, but have something that gives you money on the side. It's important. I'm telling you, never depend on one source of income. Never. Like, don't do that. This is a new opportunity, new year, new life. Try as much as possible to look around you and find something that would give you another income or give you side income. You could be keeping that money aside. When it has reached a reasonable amount, you can use it to also set up another one. And before you know, you have incomes that, would just be giving you money on the side without you doing too much. Number 6 for me is have a coach. Or rather, I would say I underestimated the power of having a coach. Simply having a lot of people don't even know what this means. Like, this is a topic I have to come and discuss on a separate day. Have a coach, have a mentor, like what some people call it, mentor. But some people see mentor as, oh, I look up to someone like maybe Oprah Winfrey, and suddenly that's your mentor. Your mentor is not anybody you cannot access. If you say, for example, Kehinde or this person is my mentor, it means that if anything happens, you're able to reach out to that person and ask them a question. It doesn't have to be like everyday access. It could be once in a week access. It could be once in a month access. But you need a mentor or a coach. And how you pick your coach or your mentor is someone who you see that has done that thing. Whatever it is you see that you want to really achieve, and you see somebody who has done it, those people are the kind of people who are eligible to be your mentor. You cannot pick a mentor from somebody who is struggling. You people are struggling together, a blind man leading a blind man. That cannot work. You need a mentor, someone who you can reach out to and ask questions, and they are able to advise you based off of their own experience in that particular field, right? Don't pick a mentor based on, oh, I like the way she dresses, I like the way she does. Nah, you're going to end up just not achieving anything, right? And sometimes it may not be so cheap to hire a coach, right? But then you look for somebody that you can afford, or look for somebody who doesn't mind coach. I don't know who will coach you for free, really, in the real coaching sense, but some people may not mind giving you advice here and there. But the point is that you need a coach, you need a mentor, whatever aspect of life you see, if it's spiritual, if it's marital, if it's business wise, if it's life wise, have somebody that you look up to, and if they have achieved the kind of things that you're aiming to achieve, if they take coaching, there are a lot of people who take coaching programs and they teach you what they have learned over the years. So basically what you're doing is that you are cutting corners in the right way. So instead of going to make all the same mistakes that they made, they are teaching you how you do it without making the same mistake. This is so important. I think this is like one of the things that people take for granted, and it's so important. The next thing I want to talk about, which is number 7, is have a vision board. Have a vision board. Oh goodness, you cannot be on the road to success without having a vision board. I need to sit well. I need to sit properly for this one. You need a vision board. What is a vision board? Basically, let me summarize it in the easiest way that it's easy for you to assimilate. A vision board basically is like a plan, like your dream, like the things you have, you want to achieve. It could be short term, it could be long term. You could mix all of them together and put them written down. Emphasis, it has to be written down on a paper. This is not even based on my own or me telling you based on what I learned or what I know. This is even biblical. Read the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verses 2. Habakkuk 2, verse 2 says, write it down, let it be plain, and in due time you would achieve that thing. In due time. But first, you have to write it down. Do not take this for granted. I don't know anybody who is really successful that does not write down their vision. You must write down your vision. This is so important, because that is how you have done the part that God has asked you to do, and then you go and put in the work. Give yourself a while, 1 year, 2 years, whatever, and then you find out that all those things you wrote down, like it's almost like a physical manifestation, right? You go back and you see that you're checking and ticking. Like 2 out of the things I wrote for the 2023, I already ticked 2. I'm not even kidding. I already ticked 2. I already checked 2 off. Right? It doesn't happen like magic, but you have to put in the work. But when you're putting in the work, you've done what God has asked you to do. Trust me, both together is a check. And number 8 is make time for family. I advise you this new year, make time for family and the people that matter. It could simply be your kids. It could simply be a time in the day, or I think I advise you do it daily. A time in the day where you call your daughter, where you call your son, and you guys sit down and just have a discussion. How was your day? And I want to say this to people who have young kids, right? Kids who are probably below 10, or maybe around 8, 9, 10. You find out that sometimes they are not able to have a proper or an organized discussion. But this is so important because it's when you're patient with them from this young age that they begin to learn to trust you. Sometimes they're talking rubbish, but you just make them feel like what they're saying, is so important, and you're enjoying the conversation and you're listening. Subconsciously, they begin to get to this point where they feel so comfortable knowing that whatever it is that is the situation, mom or dad will listen to me. This is so important. Make out time to, discuss with your family. Make out time for your spouse. You can't keep chasing money and forgetting about the people who you are supposed to now enjoy the money with. So this year, no matter how busy you get, make out time every day. Call a loved one, show some love to somebody in your family, buy that random gift even when it's not any major celebration. These are the things that I will be doing this year, and I encourage you to do the same. Number 9 I have here is make an attempt at a new good habit. Make an attempt at a new good habit, right? So what I advise you to do is ask yourself, what do I want to achieve in 2023 that is not monetary? What is the thing that, is a habit I need to form that would now help me or lead me to achieving the bigger goals? For example, you could decide that this year, I'm not going to take soda. I'm not going to take anything that has any drink that is not water. Even if I will take it only occasionally when I'm at an event. It's not going to be easy, but trust me when I tell you, over time, you find out that this doesn't just help you stay fit, doesn't just help you live a better life, but also helps you to be more determined, be more disciplined. It makes you to be more disciplined, knowing that nothing can kill you, right? It's only going to just take a little effort, and then you're going to find out that with time, it doesn't just help you to be a better person, but it also in turn helps you to have a healthier life. You can decide you want to work out 3 times a week, and you try as much as possible to be dedicated. Don't tell yourself, oh yeah, this new year resolution of a thing, I did it last year and it didn't work. It didn't work like last year doesn't mean you can't make an effort to make it work this year. So that is one of the things that people who keep failing tell people who try to make an effort so that all of you can stay on the ground together. No, it could be your business. You can say, okay, every day of the week, I'm going to show up Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday, depending on what works for you. I'm going to show up. I'm going to, come online and show my business and sell my stuff instead of doing it the lazy way I used to do it previously and feeding myself with excuses. Is to invest your money wisely. Like I said earlier on, we cannot pretend that money is not important. It is so important. You need to learn to invest your money in things that will help you in the future. You cannot live life acting like there is no future unless you want to die today. And I believe that you're here and you don't intend to die, right? So this year I want you to be more intentional about investing your money wisely, right? Why do I say that? It's because when you invest, you find out that is another way of building extra income, right? It may not be coming immediately. You can decide, okay, depending on what your pocket is like, you can decide to invest in real estate, right? Real estate for me, depending on where you are, you don't have to go big. You don't have to go for the most expensive. I know that we all have big eye. We're choking our eye for those big houses. But if you cannot afford it right now, start with the small ones. Over time, the small ones will be enough to give you more money for you to be able to achieve the bigger ones, right? Now, you can also invest in businesses. You can also decide to invest in other people's businesses. There are so many, like when I hear people say, I don't know what to invest in, I'm like, huh? Are you kidding me? Meanwhile, people are there looking for money because there are so many other options of what they want to invest in. So invest in something, or if you don't know what to do, ask questions, watch videos, talk about this with someone who can give you a good advice, right? You can invest in someone's business. I know there are so many people with the right business idea and they don't have who will help them. They don't have anybody who will fund the business. Have a contract. It depends on where you are. If you can afford a lawyer, sign a contract that, I'm investing in this business. This is how much I want to get from this business every month. Both of you reach an agreement, and that's it. The person, no matter the effort they put in the business, that's not your work. That's not for you to worry about, because you've signed a contract. They take their own percentage. Even if they get more than that, that's their business. If your own deal is to take 50,000 a month, if your deal is to take 10,000 a month, if your deal is to take 5,000 a month, that's what you take until that contract expires. So there are so many things you can invest in. There's so many things you can invest in. A lot of people are stuck because they keep wondering or asking themselves, what if everything fails? I can't entertain this kind of discussion in this new year. Like, if you come around me and you're telling me about how something could fail, I'm not going to continue that conversation. I don't want to know how it could fail. All I want to know is, what if it works out? What would my life be like when it works out, when it goes the way I had imagined? I'm not going to live my life on the doubt. I'm not going to live my life on doubt. I'm not going to live my life on what if not. I'm sure when Jeff Bezos started Amazon, when Amazon was started, I'm sure I'm sure he had his doubts, right? I'm sure he thought about what if not, right? And look at today. Amazon is #1 business platform in the world. What if he didn't invest in that business? What if he was scared to try? What if he said, okay, I already have money, or I already have tried this, let me leave it? What if? Don't think about the negative. Focus on what could go right. You find out that with time, you've already put your, even if it goes wrong, for me, everything is a learning curve. I'm not going to say, I don't want it to go wrong, and so I don't want to try. That's on you. I myself am the kind of person that I go all out. Once I've prayed about it, I have peace of mind. God has given me signs that this is okay for me to try. Even if it still fails, I'll believe that there was a lesson in it for me. God wanted me to learn it because he wanted to teach me something, right? And eventually, when the next thing I do works out, you find out that the lesson you got in the old one comes to play. What I know for a fact is that God can never leave me hanging, so I can't be worried about what could go wrong. Imagine someone like Grant Cardone, who is doing so well in real estate. Just imagine if Grant Cardone didn't invest in real estate when he did. He wouldn't be the billionaire real estate mogul that we all know today, right? So for me, this new year, there's no room for what if it goes wrong. There's only room for, I know it will go right. So that's it. The next point I have here is, stop procrastinating. Stop procrastinating. I don't know how to say this again. There is no room for procrastination. If you're going to achieve your goal and your visions, you cannot keep procrastinating. You can't. Procrastination is the reason why a lot of people are still in the horrible position that they are. You have to wake up and make things happen. You cannot be saying, okay, I'll film that vlog tomorrow. I'll film that tutorial tomorrow. I'll post that content tomorrow. I'll start that business tomorrow. I'll start my workout tomorrow. Whatever it is you want to do, get on it already. It's not going to be easy, but eventually it will be worth it. There's no room for procrastination. Right? A lot of people procrastinated a lot of things the whole of last year, and they procrastinated to the end of the year, and now a new year, and then you find out that what you started procrastinating 2 years ago, you are still telling your friend, I'll start that, I plan to buy this thing, I plan to start this business, and people are looking at you like, but this was what you said 2 years ago. There is no room for procrastination. Get on with it already. Imagine if you were supposed to start a business that would be giving you 5,000 a month, and you didn't, and you wanted to start that business 2 years ago, and you didn't start 2 years ago. Times 2 years ago, 5,000 a month by the end of last year, right? By now we're talking about how much. You're talking about maybe how much. You can do the maths, right? So every new day that passes, you're losing money. If it's money that is the thing, money related stuff, every new day that passes, you're losing time. Right? There is no time to keep thinking, I have so number of years. You don't know how many number of years you have. So get on with it already. There's no room for procrastination this year. The last thing I want to talk about, I had to save this one for the last. Choose your battles. Choose your battles. You can't keep, wanting to get into every single battle that comes your way. There are some battles that are for the Lord. There are some battles that are for you. There are some battles that are meant to be ignored entirely, right? Some of you in marriages, you're always like, sometimes your spouse does something and you're like, ah. Sometimes you need to just let go, right? Just let go. Sometimes your friend or your sibling or someone that is in your circle does something and you're always like, ah. Sometimes it's time to just not say anything. Just act like you didn't even hear it. Sometimes it won't be easy. I'm not going to tell you that it will be easy for you to just learn to look away. But these are the things that when you start doing gradually, eventually it becomes a habit that people don't even cross your path because they know that the way you will ignore them, So just learn. If you're like in the social media space, sometimes people throw shades at you. Sometimes you do something with good intention and people are bringing negativity your way. Choose your battles, because if you keep stopping to respond to everybody, to bring out your claws, to fight and all of that, you find out that you're just going to be worn out and you will not even have time for the things that really matter in your life. So this new year, choose your battles. When it comes to people or that you're stuck with for life, for example, your spouse, your children, all of these kind of people that you didn't choose to bring into your space, and they are there to stay. All I would advise you is learn to know the things you live for God and learn the ones that you find a more peaceful way to handle. Nothing is worth your peace of mind. I'm telling you, nothing is worth your peace of mind. And I hope that you've really enjoyed today's episode. And if you did, a thumbs up won't hurt. And please, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And if you enjoyed today's topic, please tell me in the comments, and I would look forward to seeing you guys in my next episode. And thank you so much for watching. If you stay to the end of this video, I won't stop saying that you're the real MVP. Thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate your being here, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.